What's up, everyone? Welcome to yet another episode of The A Game. And today's guest is something which I am so looking forward to because I feel that whatever we all are doing in this life, if there is one thing which we all are looking to achieve is happiness. And to talk about happiness, who better than Manny Anchan, a friend of mine, someone whom I admire so much because he's just living, breathing, everything he has to do is about happiness. He also happens to be an author of 4 books. One of that happens to be The Happiness Samurai. Manny, welcome to the show.
Morning. Thank you, Azhar, for having me. It's been a really long time, only 18 hours we met from gym. But I love meeting you every time and exercising with you and talking about life and knowing about your beautiful journey. So I'm glad we connected.
I'm so looking forward to this conversation, Manny. And before we get started, before I ask you a few things about happiness, what is happiness, there's something which I wanted to tell you is that this year, 2024, I started the year. The first day of the year is something which I did, which I got inspired by you.
What's that?
And so this is something which I did not. I was so much in two minds whether or not to post that on Instagram or other social media, and I did not. And I'm not sure if I told you. I think I didn't share that with you either. So the 1st of Jan, I was eating breakfast. Okay, there's this restaurant called Gloria in our vicinity, bang opposite Gloria Church, Baikala. Yeah, you've been there?
Yeah.
And I was eating breakfast. I was alone, and there was a gentleman sitting in front of me. Right? I think would be in the mid 60s or so. And so he came in after I was halfway done with my breakfast, and I just asked him that, is he okay if I pay for his breakfast? And he was like, but you don't know me. And he was an absolute stranger. Okay, I did not know him, and he was going to the church, and I could see the happiness in his eyes. Like he was so happy. He's like, why are you doing so? And in my mind, I was like, this is something which I learned from you. I remember that one of this you did even when you were at Starbucks, and otherwise also I've learned from you. You do this wherein tell us something more about this particular act that you do, wherein you pay for somebody's coffee. In this case, the other person knew that I paid for him, but I think what you do is something still. I think Sonu Sood, somebody did that for Sonu Sood. Was that you?
No, it wasn't me. But it's a kindness ritual I do every Friday. So I buy a cup of coffee for a stranger, and obviously they don't know I paid, and I move away because I go on for my work. So when the stranger asks for his bill, the barista will say, "Sir, aapka bill is already paid for." It's very powerful. And why do you think I do it on Friday? If I were to ask you, what is the logic of Friday?
Is it that weekends is something people are less mentally occupied with work?
So on a Friday, it's a feel-good factor.
Okay.
And when I do something good for a stranger, the stranger will do something good for someone else. It's called paying it forward. So it's called the ripple effect of kindness. So imagine on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the world becomes a better place. That's why I do it every Friday.
Interesting. So, and that's what even I realized. It was such an experience for me to interact with a stranger at that level, and I'm sure I felt really happy. Okay, and this particular act, I'm telling you, like, see, we are like a few months down the year, and I still recall that. I'm sure that this is something which I will remember for a long time,
and he will remember you.
And he will remember. I hope that while the whole idea is that while I'm sharing this on a public forum is that maybe somebody else also gets inspired. That's the whole idea about the A game. Everything we talk about on this show should be something which somebody looks up to, gets inspired, and follows it to make the whole place a happy place. And Manny, before we get into what is happiness, okay, how did this whole transition happen? Because I know that you've been in one of the top positions in the banking field.
Yes.
How did this transition happen from the corporate world to the happiness samurai?
It's a very interesting question, and I keep getting asked this in all my shows wherever we travel across the country and overseas. 2000. So I was a career banker, if you know, and I'm sure you know.
Correct.
I worked globally for around 24 years, 25 years, India, Asia, Africa, Europe. I went to the US to study. 2014 to 2017, I went through a series of low points, which today I call my high points. So my divorce, I lost my dad, I lost my pet dog. Then my son, who was very young, he moved to India because after the divorce, he went back to India with his mother. So that really made me question my larger purpose in life. I think also in the Quran is mentioned, the greatest service is serving humanity. And I really felt my life should serve a better purpose. ठीक है ना? I made a lot of money. I was an executive director, reporting to the MD. I was earning close to 5 crores. That was my salary. And I quit it all because I wanted to do something which impacts society in a positive way. So I came back in 2019. I went to Bhutan to study the gross national happiness concept as the only country in the world which has a GNH index.
What is it about? Wow.
So it measures the country on gross national happiness. Every 5 years, there's a survey method. They measure 1% of the population, which is 8,000. So population 8 lakhs, 0.8 million. And it takes 6 months. They go across the country, age, sex. They have to capture everyone. So they measure how do the citizens feel about health, how do they feel about education, how do they feel about the ecology, how do they feel about the government, and different things. And they rate the government. And that...
The population rates the government.
Yes. And that study is used for the 5-year economic planning. Every 5 years, the government.
Okay.
So it's the only country in the world which measures citizens on a GNH index. They do not have a GDP index, gross domestic product. So I went there to study that.
And is there a ranking globally with respect to which is I think Finland is
so
one of the happiest?
That's a separate index. It's called the World Happiness Report.
Okay.
In that Finland is number 1 last 4 years. Denmark, Sweden. So the Nordic countries have a hold. They're always in the top 5, top 6. Bhutan is not there because it's not a very rich country, right? So it's, I think, 90th. India is 136. So just to give you an idea. But people have a different way of it. You can't measure 1,000 responses for a country like India. Like India is 1.4 billion. 1,000 for Finland may be okay, but 1,000 for India doesn't make sense. So that's a separate thing. So Bhutan, then I went to Sri Lanka, monastery, Nepal monastery, Golden Temple in Punjab, Goa. So I had my version of Eat, Pray, Love here. And that's when I decided that the world needs happiness. It's a low-hanging fruit, yet very elusive for people. Right? So that's how my journey started.
And since we're going to talk so much about happiness, this whole episode is going to be about happiness. And we all know, I very strongly feel that whatever we all are doing on an everyday basis, eventually we all are seeking happiness in whatever we do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But how do you think, is there a definition for happiness, or do you think the definition of happiness is different for different people? How do you define happiness?
I think there are 8 billion different definitions of happiness in the world. What makes me happy may not necessarily make you happy.
True.
But the common factors always to link happiness is family, the quality of your friendship, the quality of your health, which is spiritual health, mental health, emotional health, physical health. What you create. So as long as humans create something every day, we become prosperous. Because if you're creating something which is impacting the society in a positive way, means you're doing an act of good service. And, happiness lies within. The more you seek external validation, the more you will find it elusive.
I was about to ask you that. How much of path to happiness is intrinsic versus extrinsic? That's one thing which
I'm biased. I think it's 100% intrinsic.
Yeah.
The person you are, the words you speak, the acts of service you do, how sorted you are with what you have in your life. I think, again, there's a beautiful quote by Dalai Lama which says, you must love what you have and not want what you love. So if I'm happy with our friendship, I'm great. But if I say, no, Azhar acha nahi hai, I think I need a better Azhar, then I'll be searching, because there's always
There's
someone
no
more
end to
beautiful.
that. Yeah.
There's always someone more intelligent. There's someone always more richer, more good looking. So the search will keep. But if I'm happy with you and me, our friendship,
So
then I'm good.
tell me, is that I feel so. Okay, I
Uh-huh.
feel so. There are two things. One is that I feel the way I define happiness is being in a position to do what you want to, okay,
Mm.
with whom you want to,
Yes,
and when you want to,
absolutely.
without harming anybody or without any illegal or downsides to the end
Absolutely,
outcome of what you
absolutely.
do.
I think.
I think this is what I feel happiness is. Let's say if I want to go for a certain holiday
Mm-hmm.
on a certain duration,
Mm-hmm.
it takes care of everything. It encompasses everything. I should be healthy. It's only because then I can go. I should have enough money to spend on that, and of course, as you mentioned, and I should have that set of friends and family to go with them, right? So that's something which I feel, or my definition of happiness
I
is.
mean, so the common thread of it all, to be happy, is to lead a disciplined life. If you get discipline in your life, you get freedom, and freedom allows you to do what you want to do, when you want to do, with whom you want to do. Otherwise, you become chained to external circumstances or a manager or people who will control your life. But discipline makes you control your life, and then you can do what you want to. So
Interesting.
that's, I think the bedrock is discipline and habits. We can talk about it later.
So you're saying that discipline and habits.
Will fuel happiness or
Interesting.
sadness. If you're not disciplined, you are not healthy. You have bad habits. Your health suffers. You put on weight. The quality of your thoughts suffer. But if you're disciplined and you meditate and you pray and you do the right things,
Correct.
then your body is glowing, your mind is glowing, your aura is positive, right? And then people will seek you out. And again, one of the affirmations I love is don't chase, attract. When you become the best version of yourself, Azhar, people will come to you saying,
True.
Azhar, I want to do business with you.
True.
Azhar, I want to work out with you. Azhar, I want to be your friend. Azhar, I want to be your wife. Whatever, I'm just saying, right? So you become the best version. That's it.
And if my wife is watching this,
Uh-huh.
let me tell
No, I'm saying good things about you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So
I have met her also. She's a good woman.
if you're watching, everyone is watching. I'm happy with my wife, and I think
Of course. She's a wonderful woman.
and I attracted a good wife.
Yeah, you must have done something good to get her in your life.
Yeah.
Right? So, happy wife, happy life.
Happy life. Oh, I think that's an
And you're a good father, I know that.
a I think undisputable fact.
Right.
If you're, it's interesting. There are so what are the major pillars that you will link to happiness? That sure. A little more that although you mentioned about
I think number one.
set of friends.
So number one is the quality of relationships. The world's longest standing study on happiness at Harvard is over 80 years old. The number one finding is the power of your relationships. If you have good relationships at work, in the gym, in the family, in the community, in your network, then you will live a long, healthy, happy life. Number one. Number two, as I mentioned, discipline is very important. So choose hard now for an easy life later, or choose easy for a hard life later. The choice is in your hands. That means exercising, praying, meditating, eating right, creating new content, learning every day, looking after your family, checking your finance, sleep. Sleep is very important. I mean, you can work 20 hours in a day, but if you don't sleep 7-8 hours, next day, you're going to harm yourself. So I think putting the right habits every day, consistently, you become like the bamboo tree. Like the bamboo tree doesn't grow for months and years, and suddenly overnight it grows 1 meter. And that's what it is. Transformation is about the little steps. You know it. You know.
But I think one thing that very interesting that I came to know, as this conversation as we got into it, is that discipline fuels happiness.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to know a little more. And,
so, I mean, I would like to tell you a little bit about my life. I've played professional cricket at a very senior level, and so discipline is very important. So I follow something called a habit tracker. I'll show you it. So what is a habit tracker? I track 10 key habits every day.
Can I have a look?
Yeah. I track 10 key habits every day. So I want to show you. So fitness here, fitness, personal finance, minimalism, meditation, reading, journaling, etc. And every day at 12 before I sleep, I tick off what I've done.
So these
my
are
notes.
the dates?
Yeah, so dates.
These are dates? Okay.
This is 1st of Feb, right? I'm showing you Feb.
Okay.
And what are the things? So every day I try to attempt 8 on 10. Now if I'm doing 8 on 10 means I am really performing to my potential. Globally, human beings are, research has shown that human beings perform 40% of their human potential. Now imagine if you do 80, how powerful you become. And you become 90, you become like top. So 80% is a blue zone. So blue zone is basically, there are 5 places on earth where people live the longest. So these 10 habits are taken from the blue zone.
Let's go through them again.
Yes,
so
fitness.
The first is
fitness.
Okay. Is this
Every day.
in a particular?
Fitness is about movement. You can play football.
No, but is it in?
What is most important?
Priority? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say in a way. So for me, exercise number 1.
Okay.
Looking after personal finance.
Okay.
Money, right?
Okay.
Then this is meditation.
Okay.
Prayers, meditation, whatever you want to call. Reading, journaling, creating new content.
I have to come and I have to get into journaling. I have more to ask you on journaling.
We'll
come to that. Okay. After journaling is
connecting with family, friends, a new content, creating new content and learning every day.
Okay.
Correct?
Okay.
Then what's the other one? Family. Yeah, looking after my family, minimalism, and sleep. 10 things. So every day at 12 before I sleep, I tick mark. I mean, some days you may not exercise because you're traveling. But I tend not to miss anything more than 2 days in a row. So if I'm doing 8 on 10 azar every day, just imagine how powerful you become.
Tell me, I had this question that I wanted to ask you. That now that I'm seeing all of this, is happiness a choice?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
as you mentioned that you are 100% biased, that happiness is completely intrinsic.
Yes.
So that kind of answers my question that happiness is a choice.
Yes.
But do you really think that external situations, environment, certain times can lead to you not being happy?
See, there was a very famous Chinese philosopher called Lao Tzu.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was 84 on his deathbed. One of his disciples asked him, "Sir, how do you choose to be happy every day and you have a very positive outlook to life?" He's saying, all my life, every morning when I woke up, I had a choice to be happy or to be sad, and I chose happiness. And that's the power we have in all of us. External circumstances will always be there, sir.
Sure, yeah.
Stock market will crash one day.
Correct.
Some friend may hurt you. Some
Things
family
which are
member.
not in our control.
Yes. Focus on what's on your control. What's on your control is your health. What you consume, what you read, what you eat, what is a new learning you do every day. Nobody can stop you from that. Right? And that really doesn't cost you money.
And it's interesting that again, now that you've told me, all of this can be linked to discipline.
Absolutely.
I am a very hardcore, discipline-oriented person. I feel everyone should be disciplined.
Yeah, I mean, you wake up at 4 and you pray, example.
That's the only way to get things
going. Then you work out. Then you look after your family.
But never really thought that is
every day. Those are the bricks. You're laying your bricks every day to create a Burj Khalifa, whatever you want to call it, or the Mount Everest. You're creating on Mount Everest. But if you don't do it every day, how are you going to create it? You got to create every day. Suddenly, on day 365, nothing happens. But if you work out day 1 to day 364, 365th, you have the best body on the planet. It's as simple.
Now that you mentioned about building the Mount Everest,
yes.
Tell me about your... See, I'm asking a lot of questions because I know you. I know a lot that you've done, right?
Yeah.
So I know that a lot of the questions which I might ask, maybe I might know the answer, but I know that, people watching this will also get to know.
Yeah.
Tell us something about the Kilimanjaro.
So I think...
Was that with... did you do that with your son or was it...
No. So that was...
So tell me both. Your trip, I think the Ladakh trip you did with Max and... So
I don't know. I mean, I'll share one minute. I'd like to show you something that's very, very personal. Show you something and then, you can put it in the podcast as a photo. But I just want you to know why this is one of the most beautiful memories in my life. I want you to see it. Okay. So, Azhar, this is a picture in 2014.
Wow.
Okay. And you put it in the podcast later.
Okay.
This was one of the lowest points in my life because, the marriage was ending and, whatever, right? I mean, we don't get into it. So, I just want to read something out to you, which means a lot. In 2014, I was going through a divorce and separation. And it was one of the lowest moments of my life. With the thought of my son moving back to India and the prospect of living alone overseas, I was torn. However, a timely reminder came to me in the form of a selfie taken at Shati Beach in Muscat, Oman, as you can see. As we posed for the picture taken in December 2014, the sun's rays were a happy part of the image, reminding me that when the night is the darkest, dawn is the nearest. The photograph gave me immense hope and deep strength to face the uncertain extended dark times. What I went through, I would grow through. Now when I look at the picture, all I do is smile. Cut to July 2023 Ladakh trip, and I'll show you the picture. It shows everything passes and we grow stronger through the darkest storms always. Much love and happiness. Now that's the second picture.
This I remember.
Yes.
This
So,
was shown me. Yeah.
so this has been, I think my journey. 2013 I climbed Kilimanjaro, and I think my spiritual journey or my transformation journey started on Feb 14, 2013. That's when I climbed Kilimanjaro, the summit. And it ended on the foothills of Bhutan. I went in 2019, as I mentioned to you. So like 7-year journey. In the 7 years, I went through shit. I went through extreme pain.
7 years, huh?
Yeah, losing loved ones, divorce, etc. Many things. But it was a cathartic journey, right? And the best growth for you will always come through your lowest times. Failure teaches you the best lessons. Success never teaches you the best lessons, right? I mean, anyone who's an achiever will tell you that going from down up is the best one. So I want to ask you a question here. What is more important, the journey or the destination?
I think, of course, the journey, because destination, the moment you reach or achieve, it's done. Like, so there are so many.
So my take to you, and you know me for some time, is neither. Is the company that you keep. So you keep good company, you'll enjoy the journey, you'll reach the destination, and it won't feel painful. So in those 7 years, I invested a lot in good people. Like Mejanal, you met Mejanal. And there are a few other people. And over the last 1 year, my circle, that's Parvez, you, Mejanal, etc. So those 7 years, I surrounded myself with inspiring people, right? Who said, listen, what you're going through, you'll grow through. And you're not the first person on the planet to go through a divorce.
I was just about to ask you, and you kind of have already started answering that. Yeah. Let's say, now this is for somebody
who's going through.
Who's going through this kind of, this particular patch in their life, okay? Is there a message that you have for them?
No, I think you have to be pragmatic about it, Azhar. Sometimes you can't control love. Your partner may grow out of love, right? You can't control your manager at work. You can't control your children because, they have their own mind. The minute you give up that control, you become happy. Number 2, through your darkest times, invest to become the best version of yourself. So work out, eat, connect, read. Because when the bad times go and when the sun starts shining, imagine how much more stronger and more beautiful you are. So, I want to show you my new tattoo. I don't know if you can see it, but this is the storm. This is the moon. This is the sunrise. And this is the bright sunshine. And this red thing is called Enzo. In Japanese, in my first book, is a circle of life. Everything goes up and down, right? It's continuous.
Yeah.
So pain is there, joy is there. So, happiness cannot exist without sadness. You can't have a life of only happiness. You have to experience the low points to reach the high points.
Can happiness be measured? Can somebody say that how,
of course.
How happy?
I mean, there are enough research models. But as I mentioned, there's a book I'll show you later. The GenX index in Bhutan, they measure happiness. And I feel with so much technology, Azhar, with us, Let me give you an example. You have your smartwatch, which measures heart rate, calorie, quality of sleep, etc. Then you have your bank balance, etc. Stock trading, which measures your financial well-being. So you have physical well-being, financial nutrition. You run a fantastic program app. On that you measure what you eat, your calorie, protein. Okay, so you have nutrition. Then suppose you have, algorithms measure what you are consuming, what are you searching. So imagine you have so much technology. It's very easy to put it together and give you a GNH index or a happiness quotient, as my company talks about, right? So it's very easy. While my company is working on it, there are a lot of countries who are moving towards, like Finland, Bhutan, New Zealand, which measures a well-being index. They're not there, but one day, like you have IQ, which schools measure, then you have EQ. One day we will have HQ, which will measure everything. Imagine a society where we are measuring happiness and proactively stopping mental health disorders, depression, suicide, because how happy and sad you are is not written on your forehead.
That's what I was about to
I may look very happy to you, but internally I'm suffering. And one day you'll realize that Manny committed suicide. But I wish you knew I was sad. But you don't know I'm sad. But if there was some way to measure society, I think the world will be a better place.
Tell me, so when we're talking about discipline, I think now it's very easy for me to relate that how discipline is so important to stay healthy.
Yes,
right?
yes.
That's something which I always talk about, that if you really want to stay in a certain shape or eat a certain way or exercise, it eventually comes down to discipline.
Absolutely.
And I think with you and so many of my other friends that I've spoken about, even the financial, the wealth, okay? Now, there's a lot about discipline. How disciplined you are with your finances. And that's something which you've mentioned over there as well, right? So we know that there are certain things which we need to do, correct? And I feel that when it comes to happiness, by and large, health, wealth, and relationships, you've seen that whenever we do talks, that's something which I cover, that your health, your wealth, and your relationships, these are the three major pillars which really defines or makes somebody happy, right?
Absolutely.
And we know that in health and wealth, there are people telling you that what sort of discipline you need to follow. When it comes to relationships, what do you think that should be done in a disciplined manner? Is there a consistently telling your loved ones how much you love them, or what is it? How do you plug discipline there?
It's a fantastic question. I think what I do is, you're amongst my closest friends. So I will say, Azhar, what time are we working out today? And if you don't feel like, I'll tell you, let's go work out. So checking on your friends first thing in the morning.
Okay.
So it's very interesting thing. I don't know if you notice, habits is created in the right environment. Right? So if you have the right environment of workout, where you, Parvez, me, etc. work out, you look forward to it. Right? Even the days you feel down, you say, no, Manny is waiting in the gym. So the environment creates you.
True.
Number one. So I always start my day at 6 o'clock, where I text a few messages of positivity to people who follow me, to my nearest and dearest ones. Then I call my son, he lives in Pune. So at 7:30, I call him a video call because he's getting on the school bus, and I say, how are you?
And this is a daily route.
Daily. Absolutely.
Particularly for relationships.
Absolutely. 6 to 7:30, I invest in all of it. Then we work out. Then, my business contacts. Some of you have met, like we work with CEOs and CHROs. I send a message generally. It's a non-commercial message saying, Rajiv, how are you? Did you exercise? Now imagine a CEO gets a message. And he'll start thinking, wow, this guy is actually thinking about my health. Or I send a clip about a book. Evening, I speak to my mother without fail every day before she sleeps. Then I call my brother. And then randomly, I look at my contact list and call a friend from school, call a friend from work. somebody in London, somebody in New York, because I've lived all over.
And all of this is something which you do
Daily.
It is part of your
daily discipline tracker.
Discipline tracker.
Connect. You saw connect. Then I write. Today I spoke to Azhar, and Azhar ke saath I had an idea. I spoke to someone in New York to write a book. Oh, yeah,
and that's part of the journaling thing, because I want to ask that.
Yeah. So every day you have to do this, and it's without wanting anything back in return. Check on a friend, because as I mentioned, the friend may be going through a bad time, but Azhar called and suddenly said, you're a great guy. And then suddenly that guy snapped out and saying, what am I thinking negative for?
Yeah.
I'm actually a good guy. And I let external circumstances bring me down. So you have to do it every day. It can't be once a month and blue moon. It has to be daily. You check on friends and family.
I get it.
Right? Like you have to ask your son, how was your day? Did you have an awe moment? Don't ask him how was studies and all. Say, what happened today that made you smile? What made you wonder that this world is beautiful? Did you have an act of kindness? Did you say something good for someone? So, when you start doing this, your son will start getting wired differently.
And do you journal? Tell me, I wanted to know more about journaling. That's one thing I would like to get started with. That so one is the writing. So is writing and journaling, how is it different? So when I'm writing a book, when I'm thinking of authoring a next book, okay, that's me about writing.
Yes.
Okay. Is that what is journaling, or journaling is something different? Tell me a little
there are
about
multiple facets to journaling. Number one,
and why to journal. I want to know both.
So one interesting fact is 85% of the global billionaires are self-made, like Mark Zuckerberg, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates. 15% get wealth inherited. You know what are the two most common traits? Is reading and journaling. They read 50 books a year and they journal every day. Journal is very therapeutic, number one. Journaling captures your ideas. You read a book, you saw something on Netflix, or you had a business idea, you jot it down. Then you write gratitude, that today my day was special because 1, 2, 3. Then you write about your fears, write about your failures. Oh, today I tried one hand push-up, I failed. But I think the technique was wrong. Example. Or today my stomach felt bloated, I think what I ate was not good. So you've got to capture everything. Manifestation.
So how does this happen? Is it an ongoing thing, or do you do it at the end of the day before going to bed? How do you do it?
Two things. I want to give you some insights. I journal my thoughts for the week on a Sunday evening.
Okay.
For the week that's coming, what am I going to focus on?
So you dedicate a
Sunday evening
time,
slot. Yeah, 5 to 7.
And you
Sunday,
only try to recollect how our past week was, and then you...
Yeah, so there are two parts. So I'm going to show you something interesting. This is called the gratitude jar. Okay. So this is the weekly things that went right. So I write 2 entries per day and 1 entry on a Sunday. So this is, as you can see, for the year. Every week, 52 entries. So this is called the gratitude journaling. So at the end of the year, me and my son, we open random notes and say, oh, this week was amazing. We went to Ladakh. Oh, this week we did something good for society.
This is interesting. I would like to get this.
This is fantastic, and you must do it with your family to celebrate the week. Because we take things for granted. We take life for granted. That we have a nice house, we have a nice car.
This again can be part of the discipline thing.
Yeah. So this is discipline. So, and then at the end of the year, sit with your family and just open random notes and say, oh, we went to have lunch at Gloria and we bought breakfast for a stranger. Example, right? Yeah. So this is very important. Number one aspect. Number two is there are people who do a to-do list, right, Azhar?
Yeah.
I have abolished that idea. Now I do a done list. That is more powerful than to do. So in the night, I say, today, these things were done. Rather than saying, I'm going to do. Because many people write 10 and they do 5.
Correct.
But if I'm writing 10, I've done 10. So it's a very different way of tackling life and putting discipline.
And tell me, when you spoke about technology, right?
Right.
And how much do you think, or rather, while we've spoken about everything that can lead to happiness or can fuel happiness, what do you think is really leaching out from somebody's happiness? Is it this today's time of technology and how everyone is constantly only comparing their life with somebody else's life on social media, how much is that affecting somebody's happiness?
See, globally, depression, mental health disorders are increasing at an alarming rate.
Yeah.
Loneliness is the next new big thing affecting Americans. It's like they call it the pandemic. And you realize in Bombay, and when you meet your friend, they are lonely, right? I mean, they're living alone from family, working hard. So loneliness is there. Social media is very good when you consume it the right way. But when you're just doing dumb scrolling and you're comparing your life that, oh, that guy has a better car, that guy is richer, that guy has a more beautiful wife, things like that, it's affecting the younger population a lot. And I'm sure it affects all generations.
Correct, true.
So stop comparing. Like Kobe Bryant, the American basketball legend, and I follow him, his readings, his teachings. He always says two things. At the end of the day, when you're going to sleep, ask yourself two questions. Am I better than what I was yesterday, the 1% rule? And number two, what did I do to learn and become better for tomorrow? That's it. Forget the world, because the world will continue. Riches, sadness, beauty. Focus on yourself, because God has made you. You're the unique one. Don't try to be someone else. If you become the best version of Azhar, nobody can take that.
Yeah.
Nobody in the rest 7.9999 billion can become Azhar. God only made you with a special purpose in your life, and what you're doing in Pango and on all the beautiful dreams you have to become a better father, better son, better husband, etc. can only be achieved by you. Nobody else can do it for you, right? Yeah. So just become the best version. Comparison will always bring you grief and sadness. Compare yourself to what you were yesterday. Compare yourself to what you were 1 month ago, 1 year ago, 10 years ago. You should be your best hero.
Yeah.
And the chase should never stop. Today, you want to say that I'm going to be 3 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, and never say that I've arrived in life. The day you say you've arrived, you're finished.
True.
Just keep chasing the best version of yourself. Live full, die empty. That's what I would say.
Live full, die empty.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, when you ask people common regrets of people who are dying, they'll say, I wish I'd done this. I wish I had traveled more. I wish I had written a book. I wish I had said I love you to my dad more. Example, right?
On that note of writing a book, this is a thought that we've discussed, right? That if we were to write a book together,
we must.
Happiness and health and
yes,
happiness.
Absolutely.
What all do you think we should cover?
No, I think eating right. I mean, this is your forte, not my forte. So when you eat right, you become fitter. You become stronger. You have more energy. Your body glows. Your skin glows. Your hair becomes better. You have some fantastic products in your company, and I consume it. So I can endorse for that personally. So how eating fuels happiness is very simple. How meditation fuels happiness. How working out fuels happiness. So
let's
eating
sit
is
down
very,
and
very important. The world wants to eat right. Yeah. The world wants to be fit.
The world should eat right.
Obesity, the numbers, I know. America is about 40%. Japan has 3.9, the lowest, right?
Just day before yesterday, I posted, by 2035, half the population of the world is expected to be either overweight or obese.
Yes, and it's a staggering number. Imagine. Think about it.
And right? It's crazy that we are living in 2024. There is so much of information out there. People know what needs to be done, but still somehow it is a neglected space. Even sleep, as we mentioned, sleep, exercising, diet, this
meditation, praying.
It is praying, correct? All of this is. I sometimes feel that we humans are the smartest of the species.
I know, you speak about it. Yeah.
But are we really? I feel that we are the foolish. We know, but we are not doing.
That's a problem. There's a law called Hicks law. Hicks law is basically where you minimize your choices. So I just want to wear black, or you just want to wear white. It's easy. Then we just wake up in the morning and wear black. We just have to eat Proteins, we eat proteins. We don't eat a pizza. We have to read, and you have to pray from Quran. You pray. You read.
Yeah.
Very simple. Keep your life uncomplicated.
Yeah.
The minute you add choices.
So before we end, I think I'm having a fabulous time, and I think I have a lot more which I would like to ask you, and which I would like to keep it for the
Let's go to next season.
Next season, okay. But before that, before we end this, okay, if you were to summarize, and if there is one message that you would like to give to everyone, like the cheat sheet to happiness, what would that be?
I think my favorite affirmation is focus on you till the focus becomes you. That's as simple as that. You focus on yourself, on your health, your mental health, spiritual health, financial health, social health, friendships. That's it. You will see, if you do this day in, day out, in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, how powerful you'll become. That's it. I mean, life is a marathon.
Yeah.
Live it with purpose. Be happy. There will be a storm. Enjoy the storm. Learn to enjoy the storm and learn from your failures. Do not sit on your success. Reset yourself to 0 every night before you sleep, Azhar, when you pray. In the morning when you wake up, you start from 0. Saying, wow, this world is great. What am I going to learn today? What will I learn? So there'll be joy and be curious.
Yeah.
So stay hungry, stay humble, stay foolish, and stay happy. That's what I would say.
Fantastic. Manny, thank you so much for taking our time. It was such a pleasure as always. And something to plug in for the next one.
Sure.
And how come I missed on sharing this is that out of so many things that I admire about you, okay, I remember one of the meetings which we were having at St. Regis, okay, and we were talking about how can we measure happiness, and I just missed this. I want to cover this. This is one thing that I've learned from you. I'm still practicing, and I have seen you that you rarely get angry. Okay?
I think.
And that is one thing I was like, damn, this guy just doesn't. So we've shared a room, we've traveled together, right? I've spent time closely with you. And before we end this conversation, I would like to thank you for inspiring me in so many ways, inspiring me in doing so many things which I did not even know that I should be doing. And one of the most important things that I would like to practice and implement would be to try and see, just stay calm.
So
don't become angry.
So when you say that, I just want to tell you 2 things. What are the 2 most important things in the world? I want to ask you a question before we end. I always like to ask questions. What do you think are the 2 most important to lead a happy life? 2 most important things.
I said 3. Health, wealth, and relationships.
That aside, but which is in your control. 2 most internal. Let's say it's an internal thing. So I'll tell you. One is emotion. One is meaning. What is the emotion when you feel, when you go through certain experiences, external? Or what is the meaning you derive? When you can control these 2, you're sorted in life. That's as simple as that.
Actually makes sense.
Emotion and meaning. What's the meaning from a conversation, meaning from an experience? And what is the emotion you displayed? If you got upset and you displayed an emotion of anger, it's wrong. But stay calm. Because always be the last person to speak in the room. Stay silent. The other person will say, what's happening? This is not affecting Azhar at all. Let's drop the argument. Let's sign the contract. So stay calm, stay quiet, speak less, do more. That's what I would say.
On that note, let us sign a lot of contacts together. We know what we are talking about. It is so much fun whenever I'm out there speaking with you, sharing the stage with you, learning alongside, and looking forward to so many more talks and sessions like that.
Absolutely.
Once again, Manny, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolute thorough, super fun time, and this was Manny. I hope you enjoyed just the way we enjoyed. See you for now. Bye bye.